Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Monday evening for another episode of Tech Circus. How are you guys doing out there tonight? How are you guys in the chat? And most importantly, how are you, Michael and Mike?
No one cares about me.
Well,
I'm just a guy.
I'm pretending. I'm trying to act. You said
just
be friendly.
I'm just a boy in a world, a lonely boy.
I thought you were gonna do the quote. I'm just like the ripoff from "I'm just a girl standing in front of you asking."
Asking for your hand in marriage.
I'm not going to steal your proposal line to your wife. That would just be straight plagiarism.
Oh man! So, tonight, gentlemen, and actually, I gotta go see who's in the chat. Sorry, I see that we have people in there. Hey, Miles Tech, what's up, man? Welcome. Technically lurking. Good to see you. Tech for your needs. Hello. Early squad posting up here. This is good. I think we have a pretty good show tonight. Not that we wouldn't have any other kind of show at any other night, but I think we got some good things to share tonight. I mean, I think for one thing that we are going to be hammering out during this show, just to be clear, there are some changes coming. We are not going to be building up to that all night. We'll probably get to that once we get a few more people in chat. But there is some pretty amazing technological advancement. Oh boy, now it's everything going on. Okay. Can you guys hear my fan? Yes. No, I can't hear your fan. And neither can anybody else. That's awesome.
Cool. It's like industrial fan, so that's dope.
Cool.
And
that's
I coughed so loud, my wife just texted me from the other room. Do you have COVID? In the middle of the stream.
If something's really
if you tell her yes, maybe you'll get that time that you need to edit.
I need a 2-week quarantine from you so I can make videos. Yes, I have it.
Oh man.
I digress. So what's the big tech news? What's going on?
Well, I think first and foremost, for those of you who, I know this is a tech channel, so that's a pretty big tech crowd. There was some really impressive news in the mobile space today. The iPhone 12 is rumored to be coming with only a 60 hertz refresh rate. Everyone thought that this was supposed to be 120 hertz, and now it's been all but confirmed that this is going to be 60 hertz, which is, I think it's really exciting that we finally have some sort of confirmation on that. As confirmational as you can get about a pre-release product. So I think that is amazing, and I think we should just dedicate this whole hour to talking about that.
60 hertz is such a fail, though. I think 75 hertz is really the sweet spot because the human eye only sees like 74.6 frames per second. That's what I figured out by myself.
What if you upgrade the GPU?
Oh, well, then your eyes can see faster frame rates. That's how that works.
Awesome. I like to just spin around in a chair really fast and see if my eyes will focus on things and just spin it faster and faster and count the RPMs until I figure out. And
we
then
saw that. We witnessed that in the green room here beforehand, and I was thinking that's far better than normally when we come in and your camera's on and I don't even understand what that is too. Is that a teddy bear it made like a crunching sound like a bag of chips, and I was.
And he bought one of those Ewok things that Emily had. I don't know what the hell that animal was.
The thing that wouldn't shut up the entire show.
Was that her stream or John's stream? But she had that thing.
Oh my gosh, I felt so bad. It was like it just wouldn't. It was like Chewbacca, Furby, or something.
I just wanted to know what it was so I can keep it out of my house.
Yeah, like I don't know what this thing is, but if anyone in my family buys it, I will be lighting it on fire. Like it just never stopped. And I think it had to be a Furby because I remember back in the old days when they were saying like Furbies were. I'm dating myself. Never mind. Let's move ahead. So then,
well, nobody else will. So
that's the thing. that's it's getting hard. It's getting hard up here. You put that ring. I've been wearing this thing forever.
Only
man.
When you're by yourself, Chris. Only.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only time I can at least guarantee. Never mind. So. The real news of the week.
So far off the rails.
And then it's so early too. I'm sorry. We have to keep this thing together because we do have some important news tonight.
Keep our shit together long enough to at least get people sucked in, and then you can ruin it.
I will do better at that. So, in the past, the show has had some changes, and I just I'm going to spoil it. We're not bringing in a fourth window. There's no other person joining us right now, nor are we actually firing anybody. But so everyone is aware, we are making some formatting changes in terms of time and day. we're also going to change the way that we kind of deliver it a little bit. So for now, you're going to expect to see us.
I'm going to pantomime. From now on, I will pantomime the entire show based on Chris's facial expressions.
So we are going to be moving. Right now, we're on Mondays. And for those of you who don't know, one person who will remain nameless has a very inconvenient schedule sometimes, and it needs to be changed. So this time around, we're going to give a swag to Saturday afternoons. We're not actually sure on time yet because, well, literally we just planned this now, but we will throw a little ticker up here so that you guys can remember at the bottom that we're going to be making this change. So anyone that joins or replay crew, whatever, again, we're super glad you guys are all joining us. And we hope that you continue to follow us over to that new time on Saturdays that will pretty much be determined as we're probably going along here. But obviously watch announcements from the channel, watch our Twitter, Tech Circus 3, our own individual Twitters, which you can find in the bio down below, or description, I guess I should call it. But the most important thing is the other part of that is we are going to start using the Tech Circus channel as a sort of library. So we're going to be doing our live show on one of our 3 channels and then upload a sort of edited version for the replay crew over there. So we won't be hosting the replays on our channel. We're going to be doing the live from the channel and then upload it back into the TC channel so that that's kind of one nice clean archive of everything, just like it is right now. But we'll be streaming from Independence for a little while just to kind of share the love a little, and plus, make sure that we're more flexible in terms of our streaming origins and destinations. Did I say that? Did I hit everything? Are the lawyers happy now?
That sounded way more complicated than when I just said, "Hey, assholes, it's going to be Saturday."
Well,
but at least now the FBI has one archive, and it'll still be in the same spot when they go back and try to figure out motives and what went wrong.
If you stop trying to explain how to make those bombs out of watermelons, I think the world would be just a better place. I mean, that's the whole.
So apple bongs will work then.
I don't know, man.
Saturday, my only hope is if we go to Saturday, people will be drunk and more apt to just leave the stream on, so we accrue minutes and leave out for the night and just let it run on their computer. So
we will.
Bonus minutes.
With that being said, you will still be able to find the replays there in case you miss us.
Yeah.
Nobody misses us.
And if you don't miss us, well, that's not a first for me.
So it's a treasure hunt, and it starts on Twitter. You know the day is Saturday, but you don't know which channel and you don't know what time. Is that what I heard from you, Chris?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. I mean, we're calling it afternoons because it's probably going to be afternoons. I mean, it'll be I think the time we were kind of thinking is like 7-ish on Saturdays.
7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
7 Eastern, 4 Pacific kind of thing. I think is where we kind of like threw the dart in, and then that way.
To be safe, everybody just log into Tech Circus at about noon on Saturday, and just leave it on.
Yeah. So I actually just got a funny text too. Not to say that we're not like coordinated or anything like that, but a concerned viewer has asked what the artwork is behind us, and I can't read it clearly. But yeah, I just wanted to make a mention of that, and thank you, Mom, for texting me. No, I'm just kidding. My mother actually does not know what YouTube is. So that will be our move. I'm looking forward to it, especially that we've had so much time to plan this exact moment. And execute it so well. So we hope that you will all continue to leave the stream on. So yes, Techie K saying Saturday 7 p.m. Man, I totally missed the whole chat here for this entire thing.
Let's run through the chat. Say hi to everybody.
Go ahead. You can say hello. I've been yammering this whole time. I'm going to start telling you guys how to make live streams in a minute.
Oh, there's like one person here. No, I'm just kidding. Drew, my hero, TLM, technically lurking, Techie K in the chat. And there's others. Because there's 9 people watching. So side chicks are here. Burner accounts. We welcome you all just the same.
Lurkers.
All views are equal here, regardless of their origin.
That's right.
Thank you for showing up and spending your time with us.
Yeah.
Plus, when Monday Night Football starts, if that comes back, we're gonna have a hell of a time getting people to come on a Monday anyway. So it's probably better to move now. Most of the college football season looks like it's going to cancel, so Saturdays will probably work out. People need entertainment for Saturday.
It'll be early enough. We won't interfere with the late night Saturday streams that some people do. People have to get up and go to church the next day. It'll be early enough, but late enough that people, like you said,
Okay.
they can have a nice drink and be good to go.
And
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and one question that I'm seeing fly through the chat, so is this going to interfere with Saturday Night Tech Fight? Right now, there's currently nothing going on at that period of time. And we might bookend into some other stuff, but the way that this kind of thing works is usually, and I'm not going to say it's like we're 2 for 2 on this, but typically we slide into a time slot and then like very quickly thereafter, it becomes an opportune time slot for other things. I'm not trying to have, I'm not trying to even have like,
not even
I'm trying to have a big ego about this. I'm not even kidding. It's like, we're like, all right, we can go right here because nobody else is there.
We did it on Friday. All of a sudden, 3 people stream Friday. We moved to Monday. Yeah. All of a sudden, 3 people are streaming on Mondays. So, we tried to be considerate, but sorry, other channels, we got to get ours. You know what I'm saying?
There's no day of the week that you can stream that nobody else does. I've tried it. I started on Tuesdays. Then everybody started on Tuesdays. So I moved to Thursday because nobody at the time was on Thursdays. Now everybody's on Thursdays too at the exact same time.
Well, it's hard out here on a pimp.
So, and Viper's got the strategy. He just streams like literally like twice a day now, every day. Like
Viper does like a 10 a.m., a noon, a 3, a 6.
Yeah, he's
9 streams a week.
He's like,
I don't have that energy. I have trouble doing my tech heat and then showing up to this because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired of talking. I don't know how you do 10 streams in a week. Never.
I did 4 and thought I was going to die, and only 2 of those were on my channel. So the others, I literally could have just sat there and been okay.
How's that different than what you always do?
Hey, also welcome to Jason C. I gave him crap for not being here. I was kind of rousing him in DM, so I'm glad to see you made it, man. And it is not very late either. I mean,
Jason is the biggest Pixel fan on the planet, so we'll have to pick his brain later.
We appreciate you, Tech Lovin' Mama.
Absolutely, I super appreciate that. I know it's a Monday and there's some other things going on right now, so super appreciative of you spending your time with us, yourself and everybody. So now that
Techie K, we appreciate you too.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, sure. My chat isn't caught up. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I get caught on the post chat.
Well, and then it's the challenge, right? You've got like the YouTube one, which is great, but then you can't highlight it. So you kind of want to wait for it to come into the mode where you can highlight it inside of StreamYard, but then it runs its own little challenges sometimes. And also, are we in 1080p tonight, Michael?
We are.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
They look the same to me.
I'm super glad I brushed my teeth.
Showing 7. Oh, I have the 1080 option. Let's see how much worse that gets.
Oh
crap, I'm ugly. Hold on.
Say goodbye to Mike. Mike is gonna be departing the stream at this time now.
I'm gonna have to like lower the lights even more.
I'll just turn it. You know what I found, Mike, is if you your Canon comes. Wait, you don't even have a camera anymore, right? You're doing this off of your webcam again?
Yeah, that's a special bokeh I have behind me. It's a 30 millimeter. So
I was just gonna say the more traditional cameras come with a little black piece of plastic that if you put it over the lens, it will actually like beautify you.
So I've spent the last I don't know how many months trying to perfect lighting, and when I use green screen, you need a ton of light, and then I'm pasty and I blow out albino, right? But then you go dark, you can't really see anything. So I think I'm on to something here. My pale white ginger face is a canvas, and I can project light directly onto it and become the color form I desire.
Starring in Avatar 2, Tech702. Are you
he's an avatar when his cam is on, and he's an avatar when it's off.
What are you guys up to? You buy anything? Did anybody
usually no good.
Well, actually, it's funny. I have compiled a assortment of chargers recently that I've been very happy with. And actually, shout out to Techie K, because I was like unpacking my bag, and I realized it's way easier to just buy everything that's in it again, so I don't have to unpack it, so that I can eventually someday make a video about it, which I might really procrastinate. But anyways, But in all seriousness, I did score some chargers lately that I'm super excited about, which I might be the only one that's excited about them. But I'm probably going to, the thing that you do, like some normal YouTube people do it. I might do that.
Cry in the shower.
Some of this.
Actually upload videos.
The other thing.
I might. I've got I have a few things now. It might be a queue. I have a queue of stuff to do. So versus getting on talking about it.
Or cry alone in a corner.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I do when my credit card bill comes in. Because it's like, man, I got to take this YouTube thing seriously. I need, that like Twitch that you get. If I had, that whole thing. But yeah.
Speaking of Twitch, I'll be over there for the first time this week.
Have fun by yourself.
Thursday.
Twitch is a lonely place.
But
yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity, a good way to try it out and not just be just there. I can be there and do my thing here. And then it doesn't really matter because at least if I get interaction here, it's better than just interviewing somebody with nobody around.
So you know who would kill on Twitch though? Jeremy Judkins.
Yeah.
He's just weird enough. He could have an amazing following there.
He really could. Yeah.
He'd be great there because you don't know what kind of weird shit he's going to pull out.
Yeah. Well, that was my kind of original thought too. I mean, I do have Twitch and I was multi-streaming my Sunday stuff there originally, but I stopped it recently because I get a couple unique viewers every stream and I was getting building up time and all this stuff, but it's not like YouTube in terms of algo. It's totally different. No. And you have to go over there and harvest souls to bring them into your stuff unless you're playing a game.
It's one of my lesser known talents.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Or you have to I think the thing is we have to recruit them from here. And I think a lot of people are just kind of comfortable on the YT platform. It's here. They want to do their thing. And
the chats are easy to manage because Twitch will have the one best friend you have will throw yo on the Twitch chat, and then everything else is YouTube.
That's kind of what it is.
That's how you manage the Twitch chat.
And if you use StreamYard, I'm pretty sure all the chats come.
They do all dump
together, so you can just it just acts like one thing. Although it could be really confusing to people that are watching on one or the other. Where did that come from, and who are you talking to that we don't see on here?
That was the thing that I couldn't figure out. I was replying and it was going places, but I didn't see where, I have, because the other thing is too, you've got the StreamYard portal and then the other independent things. And sometimes I would reply and it would go to Twitch. And there was if there was somebody in the room on Twitch, it would go over there. Sometimes there's two people watching me. They wouldn't type anything. And then my comments were landing over there. I'm like, what's going on? So these random people are just, to them, the host is just sending them strange messages, which if you're watching me, you're getting the strange messages anyway. So whatever. But, yeah, Twitch is it's neat, it's interesting, but I feel like I got to use the C word again. The community that we've kind of got is built around YouTube right now. The medium might change, but it's I think it's an ease of use. So I haven't embraced it a bunch, and I actually just killed it the other day and said I'm going to dump all my stuff into YouTube and figure that out, go from there. But that's not really what you were asking me. What are you guys working on? That's what I want to know.
Well, before I get into that, I want to bring up the fact that I'm running a MacBook Pro this week, and I constantly compare it to my Alienware, which has a brand new 10th Gen i7. This is a 10th Gen i5. The Alienware has 32 RAM. This has 16. Alienware has a 2070 Super. This has integrated 1500. So basically, this is across the board half or less hardware specs to the PC that I stream with. And the Alienware has advanced cooling with it. It's a badass system. So I have no complaints with it. But I'm looking up right now. My fans are only running at 3,000, which they're pretty much silent till they hit 5. And I'm running external monitor. I have a dongle with 6 things plugged in, Ethernet, mouse, keyboard, all these external peripherals. I have gambling going on out of sight. I have 3 chats. I have notes. I have Keep. I'm running at 68 degrees Celsius without any external, which I run at about 80 on the Alienware, doing the same or less. So the cooling on this MacBook Pro, commercial time, is absolutely ridiculous for the amount of stuff that I'm taxing it with right now.
So what you're saying is if you want to be cool, I'm just going to take Michael's joke. Like I'm sure he's going to say this. So if you want to be cool, get a Mac. Is that where you're headed?
It's running cool. It's crazy though. I am running so much stuff. I have 7 tabs. I have Chrome. I have Safari. It's not even 70 degrees. That's stupid. It's absolutely stupid how good this thing is for temperature management. No throttling at all. Whereas the lower MacBook Pro, everything I've seen, that was one of the biggest steps up. People are like, why would I spend the extra $600? This thing's going to last a lot longer. It never gets warm. It's running like an iPad almost.
It is. Yeah. I mean,
continue to show. I didn't mean to talk about tech at a turn and interrupt.
Well, I mean, you were distracting us a little bit, from the primary. I mean, we'd love to all hear you gush about Apple stuff all night, although it's not really. A lot of people are probably like tuning out. Like, what the hell's going on with this guy?
Proceed.
But Tech Loving Mama says she'll stay weird and uncool.
I like that, but she still has to get on here some night. Like we still like every stream now. We should just everybody. I know I don't mean everyone in the populace of YouTube, but each of us 3 should continue to invite her onto whatever stream it is. One of these points.
Becoming a meme, just like Scoop.
Yes, exactly.
She did say she got some new stuff sent to her recently acquired to help get her studio set up, so that's cool.
Also, anybody that's betting on basketball tonight, I just took the Sixers second half. So,
and Mike, you mentioned streaming off from your laptop. Well, it's pretty sad when a computer that I built that should outperform my laptop crashes continuously, doing half the work that my laptop's doing right now. And I could just boot that thing up.
You have issues that I don't encounter, so
it's weird. And
you have a very premium product, so
drivers wouldn't install. Like I tried using, I have a driver utility that I use that does automatic driver search and stuff that I pay for. And tonight it kept crashing, kept telling me it couldn't connect to the internet while I was watching stuff on the internet.
I gotta ask you a question. So it's a Razer laptop. Did you nuke the hard drive and start from scratch? Because that's pretty much a requirement when you buy a branded. I mean, it's not a requirement, but if you want it to really run perfect, like I wiped the Alien where I started over, and it's even better.
The Razer's been running like brilliant. That's the thing. That one of the things that they pitched with at least the new line, I don't know if they've always done this, was that they don't put a bunch of crap on it.
Yeah, but any OEM, when you buy,
and there was just this.
There's going to be little things, and
there was this
and stuff that'll slow it down.
And there was the standard games that come installed with Windows and that I went in and cleared out right away. But apart from that, everything else has just been stuff that I added. I did figure out that there is I can't think of what it's called, but basically it's like a boost utility that Razer has that they just supported.
I'm gonna bail you guys out of this numbers hell that you've gotten us into with Windows and comparing measurements. Tech Loving Mama said something about, does anyone here have a Surface Pro or familiar with? And I swear I'm not actually gonna I'm not trolling you, but I do know a Microsoft employee who has a Surface Pro, but they have not taken it out of the box because they use Macs. So yes.
Don't ask Chris a computer question. He doesn't know anything about computers except Apple.
My brother used a Surface Pro. I think it was the original Surface Pro at his job where he was an engineer and he had it docked with 2 monitors for the longest time. And he would bring it home and then connect it up to the TV at home if he needed to work from there and things like that. And I'm just surprised. And obviously now everything's come a long ways to more performance and higher core count stuff. And
back in the real world and relevant, I heard that you encountered something this week that I missed.
I thought you didn't want to hear about that again.
Not the rash.
Aliens?
Oh, the thing that Pepper had, not your rash.
Oh, that thing. Yes.
You know what would be great if you could just follow along instead of watching yourself on YouTube. That would be great.
I'm like a bird. I get so confused. I'm over here, but I'm a little bit slower. By the time I look back over here, I'm over there. It's really amazing.
There, I got my 30 millimeter out of. Okay, there we go. Oh God, I'm lost in the abyss. Look at that bouquet. That's quality bouquet right there.
Maybe someday you'll make something in your life, Drew Lips. Until then, I'm sorry.
Drew, your career is now over because you appeared with us, guilty by association.
No. He was saying when I was a director for an aerospace and defense manufacturer, we deployed I can read it aloud if you want.
See, Drew is flexing on us. Drew's like, not only am I a YouTuber, a coder, a guy that has multiple open rooms in my home to film whenever I feel like.
Drew's next videos are going to be, he's going to buy like the Fold 2 and then just drop it out the car window as he's driving home. Guys, watch my...
You guys have a live stream? That's cool. I work in aerospace. Losers.
Oh, man.
Pepper, talk.
Sorry, Pepper. Sorry.
The Galaxy Watch 3 appeared on the shelves this week in some Best Buys in box. So we don't really know more than that because obviously we don't want to make any assumptions until we actually have it released and in our hands or Samsung actually tells us what's going on with it. But at least it's confirmed that that'll be launched around the same time as everything else with Unpacked coming up. And because we're pretty much seeing renders of everything else now, but people weren't talking about it as much. And I'm hoping that whatever version of OS they're running on it, because Tizen I'm pretty sure is dead, that
You don't think that's running?
I think that's why they killed off Bixby and they killed off the vocal assistant, is because they're ending that version of Tizen and updating to a newer based.
This is the first I'm hearing of this. Did Max say this?
Let's go Google this.
I haven't heard anything of that. I heard it's just the newest version of Tizen.
Well,
so if it's not, then I need to know. The more important thing, though, is it's still not Wear OS, right?
No.
So I mean, that's what we
It could be, but like an updated, because the version that they've been running on stuff has been kind of similar for basically since the original Gear series and things like that. And improved performance with the newer chips and chipsets and things like that they're using based off from like One UI design and some things like that to perform a little better, swapping between screens a little bit better, but still have the dial technology, but not in the edge like they were doing, like they did with the Active 2, where they kind of got rid of that.
So the interesting thing is that, I mean, so this is probably going to be, I mean, for those who don't know, obviously Unpacked, well, actually I should say for me yesterday, because my brain was thinking that today was the date for Unpacked. We won't talk about that, but I'm assuming that these shops are all going to drop. I mean, or they're probably, I mean, it says Target, you can already get it. Best Buy, you can already get it. I threw that link in the chat. So I'm assuming the official plan is that these guys are just lighting these things right after Unpacked, which is good.
Guessing if they're on the shelf, it's either Friday or next Tuesday.
So what I'm seeing is they're calling it Wearable OS 5.5 now. Makes sense because they have the wearable app.
I'll bet you the code's the same. They're just trying to breathe fresh life into it.
Yeah, and it makes more sense.
Probably the same code with some added UI stuff.
Because if you hear Tizen, you're, what's that? But if you hear Wearable OS, it's kind of like TV OS.
Now they're like,
it's like TV OS, Mac OS, iPad OS. We know what it's on now.
I miss Gary. OS. Gary's here.
Gary OS?
Gary OS. We need a Gary OS.
Gary
What's up, Gary?
OS.
Good to see you,
If
man.
you had a Gary OS, it like solves all, like you could just bring it in the room and it does measurements and leveling for you, all contracting stuff. Just
By the way,
Yes, we are talking about the new.
yeah, sorry, we like I don't
Galaxy
know how
Watch.
we missed that keyword. Yes, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3.
only StreamYard had banner support. That would really help out our cause.
We we and if we
Well,
you know,
the problem
don't
is you can't have the ticker, the banner, and a chat thing up at the same time. So
what's MST?
Yeah, it requires two things at once.
Is that the magnetic stripe stuff? Is that what that MST is?
Yes. So
Okay.
MST, so NFC is what most payment systems operate off of. MST is a proprietary thing that Samsung uses where it tricks the magnetic stripe reader into thinking you're using a physical card.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and the last thing I read said it will not have that on the watch. The current one does not. I imagine that would be a battery killer too, because the way it projects.
it's constantly active, basically. So when you hold it up, it just goes, oh, you're holding it near something, pops up, you verify, and goes through.
Wow.
So
It's awesome though. I have to say, I think I've used Apple Pay 3 times in my life. When I'm running all my Samsung stuff, it's everywhere I go because it works everywhere.
Well, MST would be, but I mean, I'm curious now with the advent of more chip stuff, how that plays in, because your card that's linked to it, I would think would still want to be authenticated. I mean, I don't know. I haven't used
I've used it thousands of times. I got
interesting
100,000 points. I could tell you for sure. I have chipped cards. I have cards without numbers. I have all kinds of credit cards and bank cards and stuff. And I even have a crypto card, and it's had no problem doing point of sale through.
there's still authentication stuff you got to go through, whether it's calling your bank to set it up or a PIN that you got to put in, or fingerprint or facial recognition or whatever, which does kind of remind me of something that I completely forgot to put on here, but that Apple acquired a startup having to do with to turn their iPhone into a point of sale this week.
I saw that.
Which I think is the next step towards competing with Square and not having to have the Square reader. You could literally knew it was going to do it. Made it this whole time without saying the literally word.
It's okay. You're doing well. You're in recovery.
Hold it up to somebody else's phone and pay them through Apple Pay or things like that, or like the Apple Cash. The ability to do that, and it's more secure. It can't be intercepted because it's their hardware. Where I have a feeling that if somebody really wanted to, there could be some sort of interception between like the Square and your phone, potentially.
This
is my excited face. I'm very excited about that. It's funny. I have Square paper. I bought all those things a long time ago with for a business that I was going to operate, and I just determined it's all a bunch of crap, and people need to like step up and do their thing. So hopefully, Apple purchasing a company will make that stuff a little bit easier. There's already tons of great, really strong integrations with Apple and third party folks. So I'm curious to see what becomes of this. Like, does it make it easier and more secure for the other brands to do it, or does Apple just DIY? I think that's the question that I have for that one.
I also imagine you go to hop into like an Uber or I don't know. I guess Uber would be already paid for, but like a cab or something, and you just hold it up, goes right to them. It's instant. There's no processing potentially, because if it's like Apple Cash, it's going to be instant direct to that. So also interest stuff. So Apple could compete with not taking a portion like some of these others
Good point.
You got to pay for so many transactions, or you got to pay a percentage of every transaction plus, I don't know, $10 for 0 to 10,000 transactions, and then $100 for 10,000 of the tiered stuff.
Well, that's actually a good reminder, because for you guys who, if you don't want to super chat, if you want to just pay me Cash App directly, you can just do the little $sign shaving baby Yoda. That's my thing. I just sorry. I was
Probably somebody has that, and you're going to get them paid.
It's weird every time. I know someone's going to get my money now. And it was the weirdest thing I could come up with on short notice. But I was also just thinking every time I hear like percentage, someone saying it's taking a percentage, and like I'm like, you've got to do buy me a coffee because it's cheaper. Like I have like a Twitch now. Why don't you have a buy me a coffee? So
buy me a coffee thing. So I looked into that. It's just the same crap. Just YouTube doesn't get part of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't go 100% to you. I wouldn't know because no one ever gives me money.
YouTube takes 45%, I believe, and then buy me a coffee takes like 15. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm safer with 0. Just don't give me.
I think the buy me a coffee, the way that they do it though, is essentially when you go on to pay for it, they add in the percentage. So like if you do 5 of them, it's $20 or whatever. Then they add to it. So when they take the percentage away, the person is still getting the $20 as opposed to you paying 20 and then it going back.
At this point, I'd rather just grow audience. It's like,
yes,
asking for people to send me $5 seems kind of dumb when I'm spending thousands of dollars on buying stuff just to entertain the masses. So we'll wait on that till we get some sponsorships to start panhandling. But in the meantime, there was another event today, or a non-event event.
Right? Yeah, really. Non-event. So
4A, do you have a banner for that? Oh, yes. Wow, that's intricate. So, like, yeah, DJ Khaled.
Maybe just put up that timer again, like a 5-minute version. Build up.
So the 4A finally dropped this morning, as you saw probably on your YouTube. You got the 10 people that got it last minute and forced videos out in time to meet the embargo deadline. I think half the videos that are out there right now are the reviewers saying, so here it is, but at the same time, I had it for like 5 minutes, so I'll get back to you. But we already know what the 4A was for the most part, right? I mean, it's the 3A on steroids. The big change this year, by the way, chat, if you're interested in the 4A, throw it down there. I talked to my chat yesterday. I don't know about our combined chat. If you guys give a crap about the Pixel. But the thing is, this is the first time. Well, they've only had 2, but this time the A is superior to the original premium model in a lot of ways. I mean, there's compromises for sure. Chris doesn't get his wireless charging. It's like mandatory because Chris just has like, imagine Chris is in his living room and he's got like a sectional sofa and he's got Qi wireless chargers every 3 feet. And he just takes one of his 15 devices he's not using and throws it from one charger to the next. That's what he does. And he just rubs baby oil on himself while he does it. But anyways, Pixel 4 was a great phone. The biggest problem about the Pixel 4 that sucked, I had one for like a day and I returned it in my return window. And I love Pixel, but I just could not tolerate the battery. So there's a lot of things we'll go through with you guys. I think we'll talk some pros and cons. But the big thing for me, the reason I returned the 4 was the battery. So the 4A has a bigger battery, 12%. Is that right, Chris?
That's accurate. 12%.
That's the battery authority. And it uses a 60 hertz screen instead of a 90. So that alone, right out the gate, it's going to last an extra 2 hours over the Pixel 4 of use time. And then the fact that it stepped down to a 7 series, 760 or 765G?
Right?
730.
Yeah, 730 on the A. It's supposed to be 765 on the thing we'll talk about later.
Yeah, so they stepped down though on the processor. The screen stepped down, and then the battery got bigger.
But
so you're going to get a lot better battery out of it. But there was compromises.
What was interesting to see though was one of the comments was that the display was visible outside, and there were some complaints about that with the brightness on the Pixel 4 not being bright enough to see even in some of the more shaded areas, and some concerns about that. So it's pretty cool that they improved upon that, and I think the smaller notches, fingerprint scanner on the back, which is faster. You get some of the swipe gestures. I still think that that's one of the things that is huge.
Yeah, for sure. Headphone jack. How about that? I know it's not the end all be all, but it's like a feature. They're adding features to so they cut corners on processing speed, but if you look at the actual GPU that's attached, it's only like 20% slower, which, yeah, on a desktop, that's a lot. But on a mobile device, you're not going to, that's like 6 frames per second difference in gaming. The one that they had on there anyways wasn't amazing. So no one's buying a Pixel to game. I don't count that as really a loss. Yeah, it's less, but for the advantages of the battery, I look at that as a win, really, overall.
So what got me, though, is battery life wise, it kind of varied. I don't know if you saw any, like, watch some of the comparisons and stuff, but it was anywhere from some people getting like 4.5 hours of screen on time all the way up to 7 or 8, depending on what they were doing. If they're outside shooting a lot of video, everything that was going on. And it was kind of surprising to me that, given that much larger battery compared to the 4, but that's good to see that they're getting better, because like the 4, people are getting 3 or 4 hours.
I have a theory on that. And the theory is this: when people get the 4A, especially reviewers, that's not going to be their phone, their real phone, right? So they want to go out a few days with it. What is the Pixel known for? The camera. So I think it's automatic, and I'll do the same thing. You're going to be using the camera all day when you first get that thing, way more than you would ever do because that's the primary sell of that phone. It's a good enough phone. It's smooth. It makes phone calls and messages. It does everything you need it to do. But the real selling point is a budget phone that takes pretty damn good pictures for $300 or $400. So you're going to spend, people are taking pictures, like you said, they're taking videos way more than you normally would. And I don't care if you take the iPhone Pro Max, I can get 12 hours out of this battery under normal use. But if I'm on video, it's going to be 6, so you just got to keep it in perspective. That's all.
Yeah. StreamYard, I almost killed the thing with a 2.5 hour stream. And
well, that's a whole nother thing, because now you're importing sources, you're running a lot of power there.
But still, that's what you got to consider, is like people are putting it to the max test, and they've just loaded stuff onto it. So we know that it's handling adding all those apps and the file management and all this stuff. It's unusual circumstances. That's what I don't get. Like, you see people going on there like, oh, I'm getting 4 hours, but I'm using this thing all day. It lasts all day long, but I'm only getting 4 hours of screen on time. And then you'll see them go, oh, but I got this phone and I'm doing, but they're not using them the same.
You're not holding it right.
Yeah.
So let me run through, just for chat's sake. Also in chat, no one's really talking. Everybody's talking about everything but the Pixel 4. So if you want us to not talk about it, that's cool too. But I'm going to run through the pros and cons, especially if there's replay crew in the house. So here's the straight up differences. So there's no IP water resistance rating or dust rating, right? Whereas you have IP68 on the 4. You have no wireless charging at all. Now, the good news is they do have 18 watts wired charging. So they're the same speed, not as fast as 125 that we're seeing or any of the crazy stuff, but 18 watts solid. Anything over 15 is acceptable, I think, in this day and age. There's no squeeze effect for the assistant. So the way you squeeze, and my understanding, the way is the normal assistant works with that squeeze feature, so it's actually a barometric print. There's like little pipes, and it detects the movement of the air pressure that activates that. No Sully, but Sully kind of sucked. It's kind of like the old Samsung wave the hand over the phone and kill battery for no reason, and no face unlock. But to me, I hate face unlock, even on my iPhone.
But I'm confused though, not to interrupt, but why does it have all the dot emitter and all that other stuff built in? Because in the specs, it claims to have the same dot emitter and the projector and the receiver and all that stuff. So what is that for?
I haven't got one in my hand, but even the old Pixels had a face unlock. Remember when they had the unsecure version and they got crapped on because Apple did it so well? And whatever I'm not a freaking Face ID master of understanding, so I won't pretend to be, but I will tell you that the security on the iPhone is so superior to the others that people crapped on it, because it would just take a picture of your face, right? And people were using imagery, so it was scanning like angles and shapes rather than measuring depth, right? And the cool thing about Apple is they're able to do that without a TOF. There's no time of flight.
Right.
Where Samsung did it, but that makes sense, right? It can so the time of flight in the first 18 inches, it multiplies it by like 20 on the accuracy of depth. And that's one of the things that helps with the effect. Why Samsung Notes can do the live video, like you can take a video with bokeh in portrait mode. That's one of the reasons you can do that. But I think it's probably just in there because it probably still has that old school face unlock. And I don't know what they're calling it now, but it's kind of like when you click on that, like on my Pixel 3, it would tell me, it said, hey, you can unlock this phone by looking at it. Like we'll scan your face, but could be anybody. Like you have to sign that waiver before it activates it. So I'm guessing that's what it is.
Gotcha.
I've seen some fun stuff with that. Somebody standing looking in the mirror in the morning and somebody walks up and holds it at an angle. Their image bounces off the mirror and it picks it up and unlocks. Holding it up to a photo, somebody who looks like them getting it to work if they look close enough.
Yeah, that's the old. That's what
some testing.
That's what the controversy was.
I know that my old Pixel 4, I could win face unlock with my eyes closed all the time, which I thought was
so. Here's the funny thing too with that: OnePlus 8 will unlock with one eye open and slightly off to the side for me.
Well,
how do you move your eye?
That's your normal
angle. It's like.
Did you record it like that? Like,
I guess if you're a pirate, it's really handy.
It's good. It's considerate of things like that. Like, hey, maybe he lost an eye. We've got, maybe he was doing something and he no longer has that other eye. We've got to be considerate of that.
The only complaints that I heard was they were saying that for being able to point, shoot, and have it Instagram ready, that actually the SE was outperforming in some instances as far as like natural color and.
So you're talking about the iPhone SE?
Yes. And like the grain and some of the issues with that and video in particular, they still needed to tinker with a little bit.
I checked a lot of straight still and so the SE kills the Pixel, no surprise, in video. Like it's not even close. You would expect that because of the sensors. But in the stills, I can simplify it as this. You'll never tell somebody what's better or not because it's completely, some people like over sharpness or whatever, but I can tell you for a fact, it's simple as this. The iPhone has more saturated colors. So if you like color over clarity, you will choose the iPhone. If you want clarity of the photo, whether it's realistic or not, if you just want a sharp photo that looks good in that matter and you want to edit the color yourself in Snapseed, the Pixel will be superior. It's that simple. They boost the color on the iPhone. They boost the resolution and sharpness on the Pixel with their stills.
What was weird, though, that confused me was then when you flipped it around to the front camera, they didn't sharpen as much, and you got some weird noise issues. And sometimes that was happening on the back. So hopefully,
I didn't see that.
That's just some software.
See, that's all. That's where your camera discussion.
Yep.
No freaking night mode on the SE. Like they borrowed that stupid lens kit from the XR, the 8. They threw in like a similar image. I think the imager was from the XR. The lens stack was from the 8 or something. Whatever it is, it's some cobbled together camera. And then Apple held back on delivering night mode on that friggin' camera. They didn't have to.
I think it's simple that no one's buying these phones. These are budget phones. So either teenagers, if you're going to go stills, get the Pixel because it's easier to fix color than it is to fix light and resolution, in my opinion. If you are going to take more videos with it, that's assuming you're buying $300, $400 phones for cameras only. If you take more stills, get the Pixel. It's fire and forget. You could fix the color later. If you do video, definitely get the iPhone if that's huge to you because the video is probably still atrocious. Because even on the regular 4XL that costs $1,000, the video was worse than my Note or my iPhone. Straight up.
Yeah. It was garbage. The video was I could not believe that when I first got the Pixel 4 and I was like, there's like, no way the video's that okay, the video's horrible.
And it was literally like my S6 Galaxy.
And if you do a lot of audio stuff too, that was interesting to see like the difference between the microphones, and it sounded almost away in a little bit on the Pixel versus like the iPhone kind of took the voice and put it in its own spot, and it was interesting to see that comparison though. So if you do a lot of voice memo stuff, a lot of calls, potentially video chat might be another concern.
So what
Awesome.
carriers is it about? I didn't even look.
That's the other.
Who can you buy the 4A through? Because I'm pretty sure it used to be you could only get literally Michael Pepper. You could only buy the Pixel for the longest time, either unlocked or through Verizon. And I know that expanded this year, but who can you pick up the 4A through?
I'm letting Pepper answer. He's the one that was yelling at me about this earlier.
I thought you had that on deck, not to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
What I could find that was weird was it was Amazon, or yeah, as far as like Amazon, Best Buy and stuff, you could get it unlocked or
Retailers
through Verizon and Google Fi.
Yeah, it's the same.
So there's no AT&T, T-Mobile unless you're going to buy the unlocked outright. They claim it works fine on all of them. It'll be interesting to see because part of that could be dependent on like the bands that you have in your area, but it shouldn't matter anymore because most of all of these have like 1, 2, 4, 7, all the major bands that are across the networks. And the only thing is, so if you're on T-Mobile on the jump and you have a 3A or a 3A XL and or any other and you're looking to upgrade, you can't do that. You'd have to buy it outright, which means you don't get like the trade value of your current device. There's some things like that I think that segments to where there's the advantage of some of the other, like the SE being available on all of the networks and like even some of the older OnePlus devices and stuff that are out there. So it'll be interesting to see, though. I think mainly this device was designed to be one of those you buy it outright.
Oh, you mean you don't want to finance it for $10 a month for 2 years?
Plus like $5 in your taxes that
you're
you
gonna
pay
more for service than the damn phone.
Yeah, quite literally at that point.
So would it be fair to say that and somebody brought it up on Twitter, I said buy it through Amazon because everywhere else has a guaranteed restock. Amazon, depending on where you get it and how you get it, you could possibly avoid it.
Amazon is forcing you to buy a case with it, though. I could be incorrect, and maybe I just didn't buy it at the right time. But when I went on to Amazon, and I'm looking for Drew Lips to chime in here to tell me where he ordered his from, because I think he ordered it from Google anyway. So never mind, Drew. Just go back to whatever you're doing. But on mine on Amazon, it like forced me to add a case color to it, which I deplore because I hate their stupid cases.
The cloth ones?
Oh my! It's like the surgical cloth material.
So you can get just the 4A, or for $349, or for $389, you can pick from static gray, blue, or basically black cases. That's what it's showing right now.
So the way I read that is if you're planning on returning it, if you're buying it just to review, buy it from Amazon because you don't care. And then if you actually want to buy it from Google.
Yes. It is now.
I don't advocate that, but I'm just saying.
No, I mean,
keep it 100.
Yeah.
If you think you might not want it, you're more apt to get your money back from Amazon. Whereas if you get it from Verizon or Google, they'll charge you $35 to $50, even if for a $350 phone to return.
So here is some of the concerns that I heard from people is with the 5 or the 4A 5G model being potentially within the next few months,
September
or less. Why would you buy this phone when you're looking at some of the prices?
Easy. For one thing, the battery will be similar on the 5G model, and that means the battery will actually end up being worse than the Pixel 4 for starters. So it'll be a terrible battery. Second of all, now you're running all the reduced specs that we talked about. And if you're buying a 5G phone, make no mistake about it, you're buying a temporary phone, or excuse me, you're buying a long phone. If you're buying a $300 or $400 phone that's not 5G, you know what it is. It's a backup. It's a fill in the blank till I'm waiting for this Fold 2 to come or whatever. That's the reason you're buying this phone. You're not buying the Pixel 4a series to be at the top 5G. You know what I'm saying? And there's not even really rolled out yet anyways. That's why I didn't buy it. When I bought my Note 10 Plus, I don't want the 5G. I don't want to waste the battery. I'm going to spend an extra $200 to use battery faster. That's dumb.
What's interesting though on that is that the battery in my OnePlus 8 versus the battery in my S20, and the way that OnePlus handles the moderation of 5G versus Samsung could be a similar thing that we might see in like the 5G of the and if it's the 765 processor and let's say it's $100 more, some people might get it not necessarily for the 5G, but the processor, and you can always turn off 5G if there's somebody, because there is that market, there is some photo processing speed. That's a huge concern of people.
Why do we need 5G?
It's not for the 5G end, though, is what I'm saying. It's for the processor speed itself upgrade. So you don't have the delays in waiting for the images to process. They don't want to spend $1,000 on.
It's going to be milliseconds in difference. It's not going to be a huge deal. The reason you buy a 5G device, you buy it on something like a Note, it makes sense because that is a productivity device. You're likely, if you use a Note, you're probably uploading, downloading, transferring large files, whether they're large database files, whatever, PowerPoint, stuff like that. At least I did a lot on my Note. I notice now I go to the iPad or the laptop when I want to do my business stuff. And because the iPhone is not a great business phone, straight up. It's a great personal phone, great social phone, not great for business to do stuff on it. So I don't see you buying a 5G phone or needing a faster processor. No one is buying a 4A to do business on. No one's buying a 4A to game on. So it's irrelevant. You're just killing the battery and charging more. I don't think the 4A 5G will do well at all. I think it will be terrible. I don't think anybody but reviewers, because the public already doesn't really know about Pixel as it is. They're definitely not going to give a crap. The only people that are going to buy the 4A 5G is going to be elderly people or, people that go in there, I need a new phone. And some 20-year-old kid's going to be like, wow, this is 5G. Do you want 5G, grandma? And they're going to be like, oh, that sounds great. Is that the newest? And, no normal person's going to go buy a 5G budget phone and think I got hooked up. It doesn't work like that.
That's the math to me that this doesn't make any sense at all. And it's funny. This morning, Drew was like, he made a comment on Twitter, like, nice work, Google. Like you dropped this 4A and now in the middle of your own launch, you're like, by the way, we've got this 5G stuff coming later. And I've remained quiet. I am normally the guy that wants to talk all about 5G stuff and not today. But the Pixel 5 and then the 4A 5G that are coming, I do not believe that that there's any, we call it in the Apple realm, it's always the cannibalism effect, right? You never want to release the thing that everybody really wants because you can release this other thing on the way there that they'll buy and maybe keep. And then maybe they'll buy the other thing later because, their Apple people are all supposed to be snobs and wealthy and all that other stuff. But the fact of the matter, I think in this case here is that those who wanted the Pixel, like Google wanted to have the headline of we're dropping a $349 phone and it's 128 gig. The iPhone SE comes out with lower base storage than that for more months.
Actually pulled over the old, basically all the Pixels started with 64.
Yes.
So now I've read a lot of things about manufacturing, and to my knowledge, 64 and 128 cost the exact same to manufacture. So the only reason that they do that is to get their money back from the R&D for the whole line.
Yes.
Oh, I just sound like a girl. Sorry.
Yeah, but the whole point of it is, and so Drew, to what Drew just said here in the chat, I don't think it matters, but it's such a weird way of saying, hey, wait, there's more. Google is in a strange place this year with what they did. And I think it was, I don't know if it was Marquez or Lou or something. I think it was Lou actually talking about how they had a real long time to watch and wait to see what everybody else did and then adjust their pricing strategy. I'm willing to bet that this phone at $349, okay, if it had wireless charging, I'd say it's like, we're within, the cost realm. I mean, I'm guessing this phone, just ballparking here, is probably, and they're not clearing a ton of margin on the $349 one.
About just getting it out and going through the motion.
Right. They're doing that.
bookmark for advertising so that they can run an ad campaign till they get to the next thing. That's it.
$50 cheaper than Apple with double the storage. There's
100%.
your thing. Pure Google
100%.
experience, smart caller ID. It's got all those great, amazing Google features that everyone's going to love, and it's cheapest. It's the cheapest smartphone out there. Cheaper, and I'm not even talking about the stupid Nord or any of this other crap that we can't get here. But it's cheaper than the cheapest Apple around with double the storage. That is their headline. That's it. And that's what they're walking away with. Now, the interesting part of this, though, is the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 5. That is such a weird. It is totally strange to say, but we've also got another new phone coming. I'm assuming that that's going to be a larger display. I'm assuming it's going to be. I think it's Snap 765 on that, and blah, blah, blah. It'll be all exciting. And it's going to be an ungodly amount of money for that phone. I mean, not ungodly compared to like what Samsung does. Sorry. Not Samsung or Apple ungodly, but I think we're
yeah,
like,
I was going to say I have
$800 or so probably.
$1,400 iPhone here, and it's not even the top one. So let's calm down.
But I guess the thing that is weird to me with the way Google did the Pixel, and this is what I'm really interested to see, when they launched the $499 4A 5G, I am curious to see if it is still 128 gig. I feel like they've got to pay that 5G tax somehow. And anyone that does go in on that, which I totally agree with you, Mike, it's a very strange, very, very strange realm to live in. Who wants the cheap phone? It's like you can go buy like the Honda Civic with like the V8 from like a Mustang in it. Why am I not even? I'm not even talking about electric cars right now. But you can go buy like a Honda with like, you know, the V8 from the Mustang in it, which would make it completely pointless to drive. Like it would be fun for a few people who care about it, but for everybody else, they're just gonna like wish that they didn't buy the big engine because it uses way too much gas. This is actually a good analogy. It's working. Keep going. But it's just like it's just a mess. But I'm willing to bet that they're going to sock you if you want to move up to 128. I'm so.
I think they carry it over because it'll be too much of an indictment. You can't do one and not the other. It's literally, so if you look at from a cost position, if the phone remains virtually the same and they just add the 5G chip, $150. There you go. And I don't think Google, I've debated this on Tech Fights. I've talked to other streams about this. The Pixel is throwing the white flag for right now. That's why they stepped down to the set. They're like, we can't compete. They're acknowledging that. They don't care about competing anymore. And it's not even about volume.
Nope.
It's literally about pushing Google services, keeping name relevant until they reboot and rebrand a legit contender. That's what they're doing. They for the last 3 years, they've had two teams, right? Since Pixel 2, Pixel 3, Pixel 4. They did the whole two teams thing, and we'll pick a winner and go with it. That's, you know, processor leaks both sides and stuff like that. So I believe I called the Pixel release date, so I'm pretty much a genius, but I'm just saying I have no actual evidence of this, but the business thing that makes sense is keep the services alive. And if you have to sell it for cost, do that to keep the services alive until we get people that know what the hell they're doing to make us a contending phone. And it might be 21, it might be 2022, but believe me, all of a sudden within the next 3 years for sure, Google ain't going to play no games because I expect Amazon to also launch a phone.
I have a theory on, if you notice too, a lot of what they brought was from the 4 line, like the dual sliders, right? When you take an HDR and you can adjust the shadows and the highlights and things like that, and a lot of the features they brought. So my theory is they launch it at this price to try to get more people to buy a Pixel, so they can get more of that information on images to perfect their training model for their software. Because if you look at it, they're using basically the same camera modules year over year in the Pixels. It's software improvements that improve. That's going to change year to year. And so this 4A is the training model to grab that information, because the 4 didn't do well enough. So they're like, you know what? We'll come out with this. We'll give you something that you can shoot whatever video amount you want on it, because it's 128 gig. You have 6 gigs of RAM, so it'll handle things well. We need the information. We need to pitch services. We need to get into people's pockets who are looking. We want to spend this amount of money. We want to spend $300 to $350 on a phone. We want as much storage as we can get, and we want something that we can take good pictures with.
So here's what's going on. if you guys have read the main engineer to develop the computational side of Pixel, and I'll keep this short, the thing that made their camera so dope, he left. He went to Adobe recently, and they bought the HTC team. If they don't have the next genius, the next man up genius wise, which they probably don't, because those people only come along every how often, expect probably not next year because of pandemic and all this crap. I would say 2022, you will see the most ridiculous hardware spec Pixel you've ever seen, because they will have to finally get on board with hardware. Google has the money. They have it. They could just say, hey, F it. We're going 5 cameras. We're going to steal a Huawei's people. We'll go to China. China people can be bought. Business wise, people, don't cancel me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can buy whatever you want in China and get it on your team. You can white label it, ship it. I see Google doing that. I think in 2 years you will see an insane hardware spec Pixel when everybody's finally given up, and I'll be perfectly niched to cover it.
I agree also, because of the advancements we've seen with other companies. Like Apple released a night mode, right? So I expect by then, now they'll have to compete other than just cameras. They can't just say we have, because they won't have that anymore, because they're already starting to lose gains in that. Other companies are taking over. We're shifting markets too, as well as not just a US market for some of these companies, and global markets and devices that are getting brought in here. No matter what we think, there are phones coming in from other countries and things like that. OnePlus is doing some weird stuff, and LG is doing some weird stuff now. Companies are pitching devices that, I mean, shoot, you can get $150 smartphone and throw Gcam on it that will perform just as well, and people will do that. And you don't have to know a lot. You can literally download it, click install, it's good to go. It's not like you have to go root file and all this crazy stuff. And people want good battery life. They want good display. They want things that run smooth. They want things that don't crash. They want updates. There's all sorts of things that people, especially as phones are getting more expensive, they want the value out of it.
I can see that a little bit.
And we're seeing Apple go the opposite direction too. We're seeing them, like, this year might be the first year that Samsung's base price phone is now definitely more expensive than even like the iPhone 12 base price. And they moved and then they had the SE that came out. So Google goes, shoot, we can't just release the device in the middle that doesn't have the hardware to compete, that has these cameras. They're forcing each other to compete in more markets now, which is cool to see.
Yeah, so I see Drew, if you put up his comment real quick about dropping it. And I do agree with you about the OnePlus, and I think they will. I think the Nord will come here. I think they just wanted to test run it and get all to do that. But can you put up Drew's comment about dropping the Pixel? Drops it all together. So Drew says, I assume you mean the Pixel, right, Drew? Is that what you're talking about? Jason C, next year Google drops Pixel line, goes back. Okay, the branding isn't important, but that would be something, right? Because nobody generally has a negative connotation with the Nexus line. They will never do away with their phones now, though. Not until phones are not a thing. Not until glasses and wearables exceed phones and connections, because they make their money by our data. There's absolutely no way they will not have. It could be the crappiest device, could be the crappiest home speaker, the crappiest whatever, but Google will have every single market segment. They will offer a product because they have to get that service money.
My Google Home no longer works. It stopped. It won't connect to Wi-Fi anymore, and it just stopped. Like, I went into the app, reset it, tried to reestablish, and it literally just stopped working. And it's the same as their Nest Hub, same hardware, just old name. But I think that the other thing that people need to consider too with this 4A is, yeah, it undercuts the iPhone, but 2 years, 3 years software update where the iPhone 5, 6 years, things like that are still going. And
I like that JC's tweeting in our thing, by the way. That's why I was distracted by. I'm just realizing that Jason's been he's giving you a sneak preview of all of his tweets for like the next 4 days in our chat. I didn't realize that originally. But to kind of support, like, so I went through like Dropcam and Nest things a number of years ago. Watching Google move that stuff ahead is very interesting. Dropcam was a private company. Google bought them, and then they started merging Nest Home. I know that was back when I was like flying that kite with the dude who discovered the electric stuff. But we came, yeah, oh yeah, the guy on the money, yeah. It was like Dropcam Pro came out, and it was just like, oh my gosh, we have cars. But in that time era, it was neat watching Google sort of swallow that company whole and what they did. But what I can tell you from a very insider perspective is that the whole goal all along is exactly what Mike said. They want it is all about the experience and I'm not going to say data collection, all that other stuff. I'm not in my privacy rant tonight, but it is all about giving you exposure to their services and offering, but making you a customer and retaining you as a customer. It's why they finally fixed the Gmail app on iPhone. It's why now it plays much nicer across iOS, because a number of years ago they realized, wait a minute, we're not ever going to be able to, steal these people away, but we should at least make sure that we have the proper, tendrils down into what we need to do to get them to use our stuff still on their device. It's all about that platform. And that's why I totally agree. I mean, which is why it would be boring to discuss further, but the phone thing, that is the nucleus of so many points of contact for Google. And privacy rant for a second, it also gives them so much more data about you than you'd ever realize that they would be absolutely idiotic to give that up. And the Pixel Buds add another layer of that, and it goes on and on from there. So
talk about data collection. It's important. So I notice a lot of people that are not in the tech world, which most of the people in this chat know what's up, but just to put it out there, if someone comes across, when we talk data collection, we're not just saying they're taking your information and selling it. They don't sell probably the majority of the information, because first of all, it would be either illegal or unethical, but they are still able to use those data points under the guise of improving your service and improving your AI. But really what those data points do, they can do that. And this is the double-edged sword. So they can make your life awesome. So you wake up in the morning at some point and you're missing something out of the refrigerator, your computer can order it for you, right? They know before you do, or at the same time you do, what you need. That's what they want, because then they know what they need to sell you, right? So they're not necessarily just violating your privacy and the aspect of giving up your personal info, but all that information, that machine learning, helps them understand your habits, so they know how to market. Oh, this guy shaves once a week versus this guy shaves every day. This guy drinks alcohol once a week versus he drinks every day. You know what I mean? And those habits, whether it's a health tracker, a sleep tracker, oh, he sleeps 6 hours a night. He probably has sleep apnea. Let's send him some healthcare ads. Like little weird, obscure things. And it's still within the realm of helping you and improving your experience, but it also pads their bottom line. So double-edged sword, not necessarily a bad thing in the aspect of they're betraying your trust or doing something nefarious, but it definitely helps them by helping you.
And it can go even further as far as like, this person uses these headphones all the time, or connects to this speaker bar, or hooks his device up to his car and uses maps, or takes photos of this and that, or YouTube is a huge one. This person watches Tech Circus, but they also watch each of their individual channels. So we know they like them combined. We know they like this thing separate. So this is what we suggest. We suggest in the algorithm. But who developed that? I mean, the number 1 and number 2 search engines, Google and YouTube. There's a reason that they have that, Google, because they have to have the information to begin with, the search.
Don't forget, Google is YouTube.
Yes.
There's literally only 2 data collection points and data service points. It's Amazon and Google when you track it back. That's 90% of internet traffic between the two of them. So
and other companies that have their own server stuff.
It's
Even Amazon, AWS, they host, like, I have apps, I have other businesses I run, and we rent server space because it's cheaper than maintaining our own servers.
And if you're Drew, your coffee's ready for you at like 8 o'clock in the morning because it knows to turn things on. As far as you're talking about Google reaching out and working with other companies, Philips Hue originally was HomeKit and Amazon. Then they expanded to Google support, and more companies are doing that. So they can know what you're using. They can know what's plugged in. They can know your habits when you get up, when you go to sleep, when your lights are on, what temperature you like it in your house, what shows you watch, to pitch you what ads, where you're shopping, because you Google search it. How many people go on and they don't go right to Amazon? They Google something, and then they look at the top and they go, well, Amazon has it for this, and Best Buy has it for this, and Google themselves have it for this amount. BH Photo Video, whatever you're searching, has it for a different amount, and that gives them huge insight into our patterns. And obviously, you have to give permission for some stuff like the cookie tracking, and things that you can turn on and you can turn off, and turning your location off. And it's why sometimes you get 5,000 pop-ups every time you go into an app. Let us use your location. And then if you don't authenticate it and you go into another app and it goes, let us use your location, we don't know where you are, we can't find you to give you directions. It's not like they're just taking it technically without permission. We've given them permission.
I think, by the way, chat, if you guys have any questions for us, anyone wants to know anything more about anything we've said, or there's anything that you're pondering about while we're here, we are going to be wrapping up in a minute. But Michael, could you throw up Tech for Your Needs comment? I think that's a good closure comment for the Google chat. This is really it. I hope I'm giving it to the credit to the right person. It was Lou earlier that said, when there is no cost for the product, you are the product. Is like really, really well put statement. But this is their thing. They want to know what you're going to do so they can decide what you're going to do and how they can be of most value to you. And obviously stay on your good side in that realm, or stay on the dark side so that you don't know that they're not good.
I think Drew's comment was interesting too. He bets they use their AI from their own assistant to find all the tweets to reply
that's
to.
Actually, that's a third-party company. It's a third-party advertising bot. If you look at the bottom, I forget the company, but it's a media company that's doing it on their behalf for the responses. It's a bot. It's a bot media company. So they're searching with a bot, and then they have auto replies. There's like 10 different ones that I've seen, and they throw them up. Just so you know, it's not Google themselves going through that.
You know that Alphabet, the parent company of Google, recorded like the first loss ever now since they went separated and became Alphabet, Google, all the separation that happened. Was that 3 years ago now? So I am curious to see, though, how that affects things. And do you think, though, that they will, now that more development as far as like Samsung is working on improving their tablet interface for not only things like the Fold, but their tablets themselves. And so that means Google could benefit from that with their Pixel slates and things like that, that we'll see Google come out and just make Pixel its own company, make it its own thing. No. So we have like the Pixel watch, Pixel buds, Pixel glasses, Pixel.
I don't think so. I think they're going to stay. They're going to stay right where they're at. Is where I think.
Or when they get rid of the Pixel name, when the phone no longer becomes that, like we've talked about the glasses and the inclusion of things separating from the hub that's the slab of glasses, the phone. if that's gone, then they don't really have a Pixel anymore. So wouldn't it be weird to call it Pixel Buds and Pixel Slate and
Nest Phone legit is my statement on that. We would get Nest Phone. All right.
Nest Phone. That's another interesting thing, though, because they acquired Nest. So it had its own, its own developed brand before. But that could be good for people that trust that and gonna go, that's not related to Google, so, or don't know that it's related, connected to, associated with.
Well, I think on that note,
Are we done? Feels like
we're done.
We are.
It's Monday night, and I feel like it's just we're done.
Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, who I do not have a name of in front of me, but I'm going to do this 100% off memory. Techie K, Drew Lips, Technically Lurking, Tech702. I saw you in there. Always good to see you. Tech for Your Needs. Did I already hit Tech for Your Needs? I don't think I did. Miles Tech, Tech Lovin' Mama. I think that is everybody. Now I'm actually looking to scroll over. Jason C. How could I forget Jason C? Sorry, man. Sorry.
Gary.
You're there. And Gary, of course, for coming out. Gary was fishing, but did join us, which is super cool. I'm glad that he joined us in his Lurk Festival. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you again to my two, well, you're something co-hosts. I won't say you're lovely, but it will be good when the screen comes down here. Drew, thanks again for all your input in the chat. Super appreciate it. It was good bouncing stuff back and forth here. Thank you to everybody else. Thank you to you guys.
Thanks,
and thank you to me. I'd like to thank the Academy.
Go from the chat.
Thank you for all right, everyone. We're out. Replay crew, be well. Everyone else, thank you.
Safe people.